Indiana had quite the scare against Penn State, but their grittiness and their determination comes out on top because Coach Sigs does not lose, and he is going to be undefeated by the end of this season. I'm JR, and welcome to JR's Big Ten football news and rumors. Today we have news of Indiana football just going full tilt to be able to come away with a win late in a game when Penn State was storming back. They had all the momentum on their side. It was home for Penn State. It was a game that they felt like they had to have, not just for like bowl purposes, but just for pride more than anything else, right? This is a season where Penn State was supposed to be a national championship contender, and by week 11, they haven't even won a single Power 4 game the entire season. Not even a Big Ten, not even a Power 4 game, not just Big Ten. They didn't play a single Power 4 opponents in the out of conference, and the out of conference they didn't look all that good to begin with. And then in the Big Ten, they're losing to UCLA, Northwestern, and this is a team that still has talent, but Indiana comes in to face them. They are injured. They have guys out that are missing, right? Elijah Surratt doesn't play this game. You didn't have Drew Evans play this game. Khalil Benson gets hurt at one point in this game. He has to go out of the game. Just an absolutely crazy performance by Indiana to go to be up in this game. I mean, not crazy to be up. They should have been up, but for Penn State to come back in this game to take the lead, it's 24-20, and Indiana, after getting sacked at the beginning of the drive, they're able to drive down the field and score to win the game, and then hold Penn State off after a squib kick that honestly kind of put them in better position than I think you would have liked for them to be. They are able to hold it off and win the game. Just an incredible performance by Indiana. It wasn't always pretty, but it was gritty. It got the job done, and it has the Hoosiers continuing to not be defeated, to be undefeated this season, and it's great. So let's talk about it. If you're an Indiana fan and you love the win, go ahead and hit that like button. Subscribe here to JR's Big Ten football news and rumors, as we do cover all things Big Ten football news and rumors. Listen, the Indiana fans love this type of content, so we're trying to put out Indiana content at least 3 or 4 times a week for you guys, because you guys keep coming in, you keep being here, listening in. So if there's a news item or there's a rumor, you best believe we're going to be bringing it on here to the channel, because our Indiana fan base for this channel is spectacular. Heck, might just become an Indiana channel at some point, right? I mean, you got so much support from you guys, and we love it. Appreciate you guys doing that. So we're going to make sure that we deliver you the Indiana content, especially after this Penn State game, because Indiana, things were looking okay to begin the game, right? Indiana, they had to punt twice, but then they go touchdown, field goal, touchdown, and then the halftime, and then they score out of the gate with a field goal, and you're thinking, okay, this is looking good. Maybe it's not the Indiana that we've seen all season long, but we got 20 points. Penn State, they just threw an interception to start the second half. Like, we're going to be fine. Everything's going to be fine here. Well, after that interception, that's when the script flipped for Penn State. They get the field goal, and it's like, okay, they get a field goal. It is what it is. They get a touchdown. Fernando Mendoza throws the interception, right? He doesn't even see the safety, it looked like. He throws the interception, and then you start getting that pit in your stomach a little bit, and you're like, whoa, what's going on here? is Penn State going to do this? And Penn State does exactly what they did to Ohio State last week, but instead of doing it in the first half, they do it toward the end of the second half. It's the fourth quarter, and Penn State scores another touchdown. They have 14 points alone in the fourth quarter, and you start sitting there thinking, oh crap, what's going on here? I mean, it was a game where Fernando Mendoza struggled with the pressure. Not even just he struggled with the pressure. It was more just Penn State doing a really good job of getting pressure on Fernando Mendoza, and then also it did not allow for Indiana to throw some of those deep balls that they were probably looking for a little bit, right? Just last week, Ohio State kind of went crazy with the deep balls on Penn State because they couldn't get pressure on Julian Sayin. Well, this time they do start getting pressure on Fernando Mendoza, and he's throwing some balls away. He's trying to do a few things here and there, and as we've seen with Fernando Mendoza, he can at times be a little loose with the ball. In Iowa, I believe he threw an interception against Iowa, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, I'm correct. He did throw one against Iowa, and then the next game he throws one against Oregon, and then he does end up throwing one against UCLA. I don't think that one was his fault. I'm not going to put that one on him, but he throws one against UCLA, throws one against Maryland, and he throws another one this game. And you're starting to think to yourself, okay, what's going on here? And really, it was the pressure. I mean, when you can get pressure on Fernando Mendoza, it makes it difficult for him. Thankfully, he has his legs, and he is somebody who is a very capable runner, so he was kind of able to keep things alive a little bit. And it looked like the pressure was just going to keep coming at the beginning of that final drive of the game for Indiana. They get pressure on him, they sack him, and you're just thinking to yourself, like, oh my gosh, what's going to happen here? But at the end of the day, they were able to move the ball down the field. A couple of amazing catches by Charlie Becker and Omar Cooper Jr. I even called that one out when we were on the reactions show. I was like, you got to go to Cooper Jr. here. We were actually watching it live. It's kind of like an emergency pod because he didn't know what was going to happen. If Indiana lost, it was going to be like, oh my gosh, what happens here? Where do we go from here? But we should have never thought that Indiana was gonna lose because, like I said, Coach Cignetti does not let that happen. He has done a fantastic job with this team. Fernando Mendoza, even when he makes mistakes, he makes up for those mistakes. Now, I do think at some point those mistakes are going to catch up to you, right? You can't just continue to make these mistakes and rely on yourself to get out of it. As much as Penn State is a talented team, they are not a very well put together team. They're not a very well coached team. They're not a very together team out there. You face a team with more talent than Penn State and with more cohesion and kind of togetherness, and you're going to find yourself in a much more difficult situation. Thankfully for Indiana, Coach Cignetti knows this, right? All of this that struggling, I guess you could call it, for Indiana is only helping them more and more. It's helping them to be able to rely on each other. It's helping Coach Cignetti to know, hey, these are the situations I don't put my quarterback in, or here's what I need to do on defense, whatever it might be. Bryant Haynes, Mike Shanahan, like these guys are all some of the best coaches in the country. And so seeing this happen in this game reminds them of what they can and can't do, or maybe the things they should or shouldn't do. And it's one more reason why this Indiana team is so dangerous to end the season. And honestly, it shows how Indiana can have a game where not everything goes right for them, where Fernando Mendoza is pressured the entire game. But when you need it most, when you need that final drive to win the game, when you need that final score to win it all, Fernando Mendoza and the dudes are going to be there for you to help it happen. And then on defense, you're going to get the dudes to be there too. Mikel Kamara in this one, he didn't have any sacks, but he was in the backfield constantly, putting pressure on the quarterback. Ethan Grunkmeyer was definitely feeling his presence out there. It was a good day of pass rushing by Mikel Kamara. If only he could have gotten to, Ethan Grunkmeyer, that would have shown up on the stat sheet a little bit more. The linebacker, Hardy, I really liked him today. I felt like he did a good job. And then Tyreek Tucker in the middle of that defensive line, he did a really good job as well. D'Angelo Pons, he didn't have his best day out there. Felt like they got a couple catches on him, but on a day, and I feel like we've said this like 2 or 3 times the past few weeks, on a day when your best doesn't give you the best on the team, right? You're still able to go out there and execute. You're still able to go out there and win. And that is a huge thing for this Indiana team that a lot of people are saying, oh, they don't have the depth. They don't have the talent. Well, when your top tier talent is not performing like your top tier talent, you're able to get other guys. Like a few weeks ago, it was Isaiah Jones. This week, it was Jamari Sharp, I think was okay in this game. I know he gave up a few catches, but I felt like he was okay in this game. Lewis Moore was okay in this game. Like even with your best players not performing like your best players, you're still able to go out there, execute, win, and move on and advance. And I think if you're an Indiana fan, you're loving it. It's fantastic stuff. Now, we do need to talk about Fernando Mendoza and the Heisman. So Fernando Mendoza is getting a lot of Heisman hype. I mean, Gus Johnson was talking about it on the broadcast, and I do think that it is warranted in some ways because of how they select the Heisman process. Now, did Fernando Mendoza have the best game in the world out there? No, I saw Indiana fans tweeting at the end of the game like, oh, well, there goes the Heisman, and you would think so. But the Heisman is made on storylines in moments. And so right now, Fernando Mendoza has one of the best storylines in all of college football, right? Kid from Miami. He was going to go to Yale. Kyle comes in, offers him. He plays there for a few years. He reunites with his brother at Indiana, and now he's looking like the number one pick in the NFL draft next year. He's tall. He's a finance bro. Like all of these kind of storylines coalescing together, and then you get a huge moment against the Penn State team that, yeah, the record isn't great, but you're still going to Penn State. It's still a talented team. This honestly is kind of what Fernando Mendoza needs to separate himself from somebody like Julian Sayin. This is kind of what he needs to separate himself from a Ty Simpson. You know, Ty Simpson has all the ranked wins and everything. And, you know, even though I think that's bullcrap, like they're going to continue to talk about ranked wins. And so Fernando Mendoza has this moment in the game where he drives his team down the field without his wide receiver one and Elijah Surratt, and he is able to score the touchdown to win them the game. Whether you're an Ohio State fan or an Indiana fan, you think, oh, he definitely deserves it. No, he definitely doesn't deserve it. The Heisman is built more on storylines and moments of the season than anything else. And the amount of hype that Indiana and Fernando Mendoza is getting out of this Penn State win, this bodes very, very well for Fernando Mendoza's Heisman chances. And even if you're an Indiana fan, you're like, I don't think he deserves it. He wasn't good enough in this game. That oftentimes doesn't matter. A lot of times what matters for the Heisman is the storyline, the story that they can tell about you, you know, the video clips they can make, the stories they can write, and then what was the moment that you gave them something that they can remember and go back to every single time. For Julian Sayin, it's his completion percentage. But people are just going to see that and think, oh, check down merchant. I don't think that's accurate, but that's what they're going to think, right? For Fernando Mendoza, they're going to say, even when he didn't have his best day, even when he threw an interception in the fourth quarter, he's still going to go out there and respond for his teammates and go win the game for them. Fair, unfair, whatever you want to call it, it is the way that the Heisman is selected a lot of times in the new age of college football. It's one of the reasons why C.J. Stroud never won the Heisman, because he never finished the year against Michigan super well. It's another reason why other guys, I can't think of them off the top of my head, have not won the Heisman either. But ultimately, I think at the end of the day, Julian Sayin is going to continue to play well enough that he's going to be in that conversation with Fernando Mendoza. And I think the moment that's going to decide if who wins the Heisman, because I do think this award is either Julian Sayin or Fernando Mendoza. Ty Simpson's in there too, but I'm not confident he's going to remain consistent enough throughout the year to be able to stay in there. I do think it's going to be between Julian Sayin and Fernando Mendoza, and as long as those two continue to be undefeated and get to the Big Ten Championship, I think that the Big Ten Championship winner is most likely going to have a Heisman moment from one of those two QBs, whether it's Fernando Mendoza, whether it's Julian Sayin. I think even with the not great game statistically for Fernando Mendoza, the coming down the field, the moment, the game-winning drive is going to keep him in that conversation. In fact, I think he's the leader on FanDuel right now. Last I checked, he was like plus 150 or something like that. He's going to remain in there, and we'll see what happens in the Big Ten Championship game. So let me know you guys' thoughts in the comments on this game. What a fantastic game for Indiana. Didn't always feel fantastic, but coming out with the win in that one, it's pretty special, and it's one that you're going to cherish if you're an Indiana fan. So let me know your thoughts. Would love to hear them. Thanks. Have a good one.